to go over your questions and find out what you all want to know. So,
We'll start right here front. Please say your affiliation. If you don't mind.
Jason Caldwell, AuburnCover.com. When you go into this process now, what are you looking for? What's important when you start to do a coaching search this time around?
yeah, all the characteristics. Somebody with an edge, somebody who's highly competitive. In my career, I found that one of two things has to happen. The head coach of almost any sport either has to have a tremendous edge to them, or they have to be surrounded by assistants who have an edge to them. There's many different ways to define that, but you can call it blue collar, you can call it hard nosed, you can call it aggressive, you can call it all those things, but that's usually priority number one is to find that part. Then intelligence, strategic, forward thinking, all those things matter. And at this level of college football, you're obviously going to have somebody who has a track record in all these areas, and you're going to look into that track record with the utmost seriousness. And you're looking for somebody who can lead a building, lead a staff, lead 18 to 22, 23, 24-year-olds into battle to compete in the best league in the country.
John, can you kind of talk about the timeline of y'all's decision to part ways with Fisheries? And when you look back at it, the way Saturday turned out, there's a lot of fans that left early in the fourth quarter. Do you maybe regret not doing it sooner when things get to that point, when it feels so untenable?
No, we all go through our own process. In my process, I want to make sure, I want to write things down. I was going to say get a good night's sleep, but I didn't sleep at all on Saturday night. But I want to be able to process everything that happens, because the last thing in a leadership role that you ever want to do is have a knee-jerk reaction to anything. I needed some data. I needed to, again, write everything down. I try and take notes on my phone and other places during the course of a game, so that I can go find that on video or rethink that or run it by our staff. So, I took time after the game to get my thoughts together, and then reached out to Coach Freeze late morning Sunday.
John, before you guys made this decision, there was a lot of talk about Penn State, LSU, Florida, a lot of these other schools already in the market, how crowded it was going to be. Obviously, you guys think that it can be competitive in a market like that. Why do you think that Auburn can be a place that can, attract a top candidate, knowing that there's going to be a lot of competition for that in this cycle?
Well, until we went this route, I didn't really deep dive every single day into the marketplace, but I think we have the best job out there. We have the best fans. We have 19 sellouts in a row. And when you consider what Auburn football has been through, that is incredible. That's a testimony to who our fans are. I'm deeply appreciative of them. I know our whole staff is. I know our student athletes are. I know our entire administration are deeply indebted to our fans who have been patient. And the reality is it's no longer time to be patient. It's time to act, and it's time for us to make a jump. It's time for Auburn to make a jump. Our fans deserve that. And I want that to happen as quickly as possible. I have not said this, but I do want to say this. This is something I told the players on Sunday when I met with them. I do want to just say, Hugh Freeze and his wife Jill and their entire family are world-class human beings. And I know that a lot of you in the media here have dealt with Hugh directly, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that makes these decisions even more difficult. But he is a special man. I will always have a relationship with him, and he did some positive things in his 3 years. Probably the most notable is the incredible upgrade in talent that we have on the field. And I think that's one of the most frustrating things for me right now is if you look at both sides of the ball, you're looking at guys who are going to play in the NFL one day. You're looking at guys who have skill. And obviously defensively, we've been outstanding. I think we have one of the elite defenses in the country, but offensively, that has been a real struggle. And we have talented young people on that side of the football. So that has been extremely frustrating and one of the reasons we had to act.
Hey John, Justin Hoganson on Auburn Sports on 3. I guess what went into the decision to name DJ Durkin interim head coach, and is he somebody that you think is going to be a part of that process of looking for guys to get a chance to win the job?
Yeah, I think DJ has done an incredible job with our defense. And when you're at practice, when you watch him coach in game, it's pretty evident that he does have an edge. He's somebody with incredible energy. He's somebody that the players, student athletes relate to. He's somebody who has strategic vision. Will he get consideration? Absolutely, he will get consideration. But I won't go any farther than that. I mean, I think DJ is definitely somebody who has earned that opportunity, but he will be part of a pool that we will consider.
JG with Auburn Sports, part of the online network, on 3 network, excuse me, just. Question about who's going to help you with this search. Are you going to use a search firm? Who else is going to kind of work with you there?
You know, we're not sure if we're going to use a search firm or not. Really, one of the reasons to use a search firm is for background checks and things of that nature. If we use one, it will be more of a peripheral background type situation, even though we have opportunities to do those things on our own. Not sure if I'm going to use a search firm. I will tell you this. There is no question that I will take information from industry experts. I will take information from people who really understand college football at a high level. And we will go to people who have incredible data, and we will go to people who really understand all 4 corners of the country in this great sport. But I am the committee. And even though I will listen and I will do as good a job as I possibly can of taking in information, I will be the committee.
The second row, Bill, and then Peter.
Yeah, Bill Cameron, ESPN 106.7. John, what's your expectation as far as the timeline's concerned, and does the December signing period play into that?
Yeah, it certainly does. And of course, with the new portal period coming up that was just changed recently, I think that is a consideration as well. But certainly as close to following our last game as possible is ideal. But are candidates that you're talking to still playing at that time? What are they playing for? Are they in the CFP? Are they in a bowl? I would assume that every single candidate that we're going to speak to outside of this building is going to be in that situation. So we're going to work as quickly as we possibly can to try and get it done as quickly after the Iron Bowl as possible.
Peter Rodriguez.com. What was the response and reaction from the players when you met with them yesterday? And I guess also, what was their response and reaction to playing for Coach Durkin?
I think that's something that they would have to answer. I'm just in a room addressing the team. I honestly could not tell you. And when we called that meeting, I'm sure that so a lot of those guys didn't get to sleep until way into the morning. So we might have awakened them to set up a meeting. So they might have been still tired from the night before. But I think that's something that they would have to answer.
Stay front left.
Thank you. ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. You mentioned just now the talent that Hugh Freeze accumulated on the roster. Quarterback has been something of a mixed bag the last couple of years. How important is it for the next coach to have a track record of developing and evaluating quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think that's crucial. I think there's no question that the most important position maybe on the field, it's critically important. I hesitate to to make an examination of our quarterbacks, because I don't think that's fair from where I sit. I do know this. I know that all of them have given tremendous effort. I know that certainly we have quarterbacks that have promise, that have futures, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked in the game. I'm not talking about our quarterbacks. I'm talking about our offense. And I think this is a good opportunity. This is another thing I mentioned to our student athletes just yesterday is it's really easy to get into a blame thing and start pointing your finger at a quarterback or at the offensive line. What we know is it's just not working. And those student athletes we're responsible for because our staff brought them to campus. And I do believe we have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. It's pretty obvious that it's just not working. It's not operating at a high level. And I'll probably take it a step farther just by saying, gosh, if we had average SEC offense right now, there's no telling what our record would be. And maybe I'm not standing up here in front of you right now.
Might get to more. John, since you've been at Auburn, developed a reputation as somebody who's very loyal and support defense of your coaches. At what point in the season did it become apparent to you that it might be a reality that you might have to make a change? Was that after Georgia? Was that after Missouri?
It was just the general inefficiency of our offense, especially in fourth quarters. I think you find out a lot about your team and when you watch a fourth quarter offense. Are they going to attack the game and say, we're down a score, we're going to get this done? For whatever reason, that was not happening offensively during the course of the season, and that was something that was noticeable. Everybody in this room noticed that, and that's something that's got to change, and it's got to change quickly.
Back left, Jeff.
Jeff Shear, AuburnTigers.com. Any message or words for the Auburn fan base who have supported this program so strongly under Coach Freeze's best?
Yeah, I mean, our fan base is incredible. I just, from the moment I stepped onto this campus and I went to my first football game, which was Texas A&M, it was obvious to me this place is different. We have incredibly loyal fans. We have fans who have shown patience. We have fans who have given in every way. They've given their time. They've given financially. They have given in every way. Now it's time for us to give back. And that's one of the many reasons we had to make this decision. It's time for this football program to give back to this fan base. They deserve it. And I'm going to spend every minute of every day that I'm awake trying to give our fans exactly what they deserve, which is the best. And that's the direction we're going to go.
Go far back, John.
Johnny Conn at ABC 1340 Sports in Birmingham. John, 4 coaches in 7 years. Obviously, you're not responsible for all of them, but for the boosters, the powers that be, are you going to be able to push back against some of those voices and not fall victim to groupthink when it comes to making a decision because it hasn't worked here for a handful of years now?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question because that's a little bit of a mystery to me. I've heard all these myths about things like donors at Auburn or board of trustee members or administrators or power brokers in the Auburn family. That has not been my experience in 3 years. Not one time have I had a donor or a board member or anybody else who helps guide this great university come to me and say, you need to hire this person, you need to terminate this person, you need to do this, you need to, I mean, certainly you get comments, hey, the hot dogs weren't very, I mean, you will get that type of commentary, but that has not been my experience. And I think that's one of those things that might have been created by other schools in the state of Alabama. That myth is not reality. We're in a tough spot right now. We're going to get to the other side of it. We're going to give our fans what they absolutely deserve, but we're not going to live in a world of myths because what you just described, and I appreciate the question, just doesn't exist.
Right front, Nathan.
we are in discussions with Coach Freeze's representation right now. And that's not done, and I anticipate it's probably not going to be done for a while.
John, when you guys hired Freeze, you know, you're pretty soon on the job. Obviously, it's a different situation a few years later, but what did you learn from that first search here that you feel like you can apply now that you're having to find his replacement?
Yeah, I think the group of coaches that are available now are considerably different than it was 3 years ago. But yeah, you're constantly, anytime you're talking to industry experts and listening to their opinion and kind of sifting through fact versus fiction, you continue to learn. So I feel like I'm always learning. I feel like every time I'm in our locker room, football game, I'm learning. But there is great knowledge out there. I certainly know that John Cohen doesn't have all the answers, and I know that I need information, and there are sources to go out and get that information, and we will pursue that.
With Jeff and Jason.
John, what role do you feel like NIL will play in the search, and then where do you feel Auburn sits in that pecking order?
Yeah, I'm really proud of our administration. We've worked so incredibly hard in the area of third-party opportunities for student athletes, which I think is going to be a game changer. I think it's going to be a differentiator. You know, there's absolutely no way to know who's got what. There's no way to know where we are versus the people we're competing against. But just having had conversations in our industry about this subject, I think Auburn's ahead of the curve. I think Auburn has been extremely creative, and I think we have been able to generate revenue from many different sources. And it's something that we have done out of necessity at a very early stage. And I think whomever runs this football program moving forward is going to benefit greatly from not only the revenue share opportunities, which everybody in our league has, but also the third-party opportunities, which might not be available to everybody in the Southeastern Conference and around the country.
John, you talked about kind of what you're looking for. How do you gauge and judge, I guess, the CEO part of things because of this changing world that the coaches live in now? Whether that guy's a play caller, how you see that as a difficult thing to do now for a head coach?
Yeah, Jason, I think that's one of the things that the evolutionary process of the coaching profession in Power 4 football is how many schools around the country had a GM 3 years ago when we went through this search. I don't know that a ton of them already had a GM. If you look at the amount of resources that Auburn and the people that we were competing against, the amount of resources that were driven to name, image, and likeness prior to House versus the NCAA coming into effect, it was a really low number. I mean, it is exponentially higher now. So again, I can't be predictive and know exactly what everybody else is doing, but I know what we're doing. And I know it's going to be extremely competitive. And it'd be hard for me to imagine that there are 10 other schools that are going to be able to provide what we are doing in the third-party market to help our student athletes in the entire country. So again, we have the best fan base. We have sold out Jordan Hare 19 times in a row. We have this incredible opportunity for our student athletes. We have the foundation of Auburn University and everything it brings, from the creed just to this campus, to the education it provides, the great history here, not only in athletics, but academically as well, and research. Auburn has it all. And now it's time for Auburn to have it all in the sport of football. And we're not going to rest until that happens.
Hey, John, David Spector, WSFA Montgomery. You guys have had success in a number of sports since you've been here, but with football being the moneymaker and the way of life it is in the SEC, how much pressure do you feel to get the next head coach correct?
Yeah, I think pressure is one of those self-induced things. I'm going to put pressure on myself to do everything, to try and do everything the right way, just like I know all of you do. I know that I owe this to this fan base. I grew up in the state of Alabama. I know how special this fan base is. And again, I wake up every morning saying, We've got to get this done. We've got to get it done for the people who are in the top of that upper deck, the people who are in our suites, the people who are on the field. We've got to get this done. And again, I know it's been bandied about that we're close, right? I'm not going to say that we're close. Close doesn't matter. Getting it done matters. But I will say that we have an elite defense. I will say that there are a lot of areas of the game in which we excel. But the offensive side has really hurt the production of this football team, and we got to get that fixed. We have to. Now, is it fair to bring up DJ Durkin here and say, hey, fix our offense? No, that's not fair. But what we have done is we have given him the opportunity, especially with our staff and everyone else, to step forward and say, this is going to be your program for the next 3 weeks. Do the things that you feel like need to be done internally for us to be more competitive on both sides of the football. And we have a lot of confidence that can happen.
Take one more. Yeah.
Is Hugh Freeze the only change effective immediately on the coaching staff?
No, there are some adjustments that will be made in the coming days, weeks, months. There will be other staff adjustments that will be made moving forward. But at this present moment, I believe there have been a couple of staff moves made, but there will be more coming.
John, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.